Okay, we are back. Um, so we are going to be doing what's called heads-up digitizing, and we're digitizing vectors. And each of these vectors is going to be going into one of these feature classes. And so you're going to tell it, first you're going to identify which feature class it is, and then you're going to put, you're going to define some geometry, and then you're going to add some attributes. Okay? And if you kind of think about it, it's essentially the equivalent of adding a record to a table in a database, but it has this special field called shape that stores the geometry, and that basically makes it different from most other relational databases. Okay, like I said before, in ArcPro you are editing by default, and if I click on the edit ribbon here, make sure that your snapping is turned on. If it isn't, please just go ahead and toggle this to snapping is on. We'll talk a little more about what that is in a minute. And then we're going to go ahead in the features section. We're going to click create. Now these are called feature classes. They're actually feature layers once they've been loaded. And if you're ever in doubt as to where this data is, if you right click on there and come down and go to properties and click on source, this is where this data is stored. Okay? It's stored in this geo database, C directory BMR FRCC. I know of a lot of, for whatever reason, the first few times we do this, people maybe send me the wrong thing. Especially if you downloaded it twice or you're not sure where it is. Anyway, this will tell you exactly which database that you should send back to me. Right? And the name of the feature class is house points. It's a simple feature type, and you can see it's a point geometry type. Points, lines, and polygons are the three vector feature types that we were going to be working with. It also has a spatial reference, and in this case it is NAD 83 state Plain, Colorado. And interesting, 4269. Okay, let's go through the three different types of geometry, and let's create some features for each one. And I'll point out some things that are important for you to know. All right, I'm going to turn partial blocks off because that's kind of annoying. So we have a business rule. The business rule is we need a point on every house, every dwelling. And it just depends on what your organization is and who you're capturing the data for as to what that business rule is. So this is not necessarily the only way to do this. So for every house we have here, we should have a point in it. And so your job is to put points on every one of these houses. In the lab, you're going to have to put points on every tree and I believe every parking space. Okay, so there we go. Create features. We did that by clicking on this, and it opens this panel over here called Create Features. And I'm going to tell it which feature I want to add. I'm going to click on House Points. Right? And it's giving me some different tools to choose from. One is just sort of a free for all. You can also use these special tools to snap things at the end of lines, snap things at intersections. There's a lot of different variations on this, but let's just go with the simple one. I've clicked on this, and you can. I don't know if you can see this, but as I'm moving, it's actually dragging a point around. I'm going to go ahead and click right there, and you can see that it is currently highlighted. Now it's also still attached to my cursor. So be careful not to keep clicking because it'll keep adding features to it. While it's highlighted, let's come up here to the selection box and go to the attributes. Click on attributes, and that's going to create a pane over here for you in order for you to enter the attributes. And if you need to get back, you can see attributes, create features, little tabs down here, so you can go back and forth between these two panes. All right, so while this is showing me the attributes, and these are fields in a database, the attributes associated with the highlighted feature. and you can see object ID. This is a field that is managed by the database, or by the application, ArcPro. Don't ever mess with it, ever. Just completely ignore it, and don't ever use it as something for which to join to another table. Okay, it does not persist, so you do not want to rely on it. Okay, owner name. I'm going to go ahead and click on and I'm going to assign this to me. Well, not me. I'll assign it to the Hulk. All right, and number of bedrooms, and I'm going to say that's curious about that. Oh yeah. So because this is actually a numeric field, it knows to do that. And taxes. Let's see. Can I put in Brutus? Oh, I guess it is. Oh, interesting. Let's just say $2,300. Geometry. I don't know what that actually means. Let's go ahead and click apply. Okay. And then if you click on geometry, this is actually telling you, this is what's actually stored in the shape field. It has an X and it has a Y because it's a point. It only has one vertex, right? You're not collecting anything. And so then what are these units? Well, these units are US feet, and they are associated with the coordinate system, the spatial reference with this data. So these could be lats and longs, they could be UTM meters, whatever. And it helps to know, no, it's crucial to know what the spatial reference is so that it can translate those numbers into a particular place on Earth. Okay, so still not in the database. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And again, this is Save on the Edit ribbon. Save, and we'll click Yes. At this point, it is now in the database. All right, and I am going to, let's see here. I guess I'll save the project. And note that saving the project does not save your edits necessarily. Right? It saves the parameters of the project, which are where you're zoomed in, which layers are currently joined in, and what colors they are, and all that sort of thing. And so think about it as the editing, the database is different than the project. Okay, so I'm going to click, I'm going to get out of this just to show you that, yes, indeedy, it has been saved. And I'm going to reopen my project. And you can see my house point is still there. It's actually it actually saves the selection as well. If I right click on house point and go to the attribute table, you can see this is the list of all of the points that we currently have on the map in that feature class. And you can see it actually has the word point in the shape field. That's not what's really stored in there. What's really stored in there is a binary representation of the geometry. But they can't put all that in here. So Bob, Dave, Monica, Swathi, Bart, and Bruce Banner. So here's the one that we just put in. So see that that's definitely there. Okay, let's come back and add some more.